The chandelier light hit Marcus Webb's champagne glass at exactly the wrong angle, and for one suspended second, the entire ballroom seemed to tilt. He hadn't wanted to come. He never wanted to come to these things. But his daughter Emma had packed his blazer herself, pressing it with her small 9-year-old hands, the way her mother once had, and he hadn't been able to say no to that. He set the glass down untouched. The Hargrove estate was the kind of place that made a man feel his own smallness without trying. 40-foot ceilings, staff in white gloves, guests who laughed at exactly the right volume. Marcus worked for a landscaping contractor that maintained the grounds here, minus had for 3 years minus, and tonight he'd been invited as some kind of gesture by the junior events coordinator, who felt sorry for him. He should have stayed home. He was edging toward the exit when a woman in a gold dress gasped. Then, a hand closed around his arm. 2 of them, actually, one on each side. The Sendo Layas Vanti. Officers were polite about it, the way people are polite when they've already made up their minds. They walked him to the center of the room, and the music stopped the way music always stops when something terrible is about to happen in public. All at once, with no warning. 300 people turned to look. Richard Hargrove himself came through the crowd. 60, silver-haired, the kind of tan that costs money. He pointed at Marcus the way a man points at something he owns. "That's him," Hargrove said. "He was in the East Wing. A cufflink set minus platinum, my late wife's gift to me minus, it's missing." Marcus felt the floor shift beneath him. "I was never in the East Wing," he said. His voice came out steady. He was surprised by that. "Security footage says otherwise." "Then show me the footage." The room held its breath. Hargrove's jaw tightened. He was a man unaccustomed to being answered, and Marcus could see him recalibrate, the way powerful people do when the math suddenly doesn't add up the way they expected. "Check his pockets," Hargrove said. They did. In front of everyone, Marcus held his arms out and let them. Nothing. The younger officer stepped back first, then the older one. They looked at Hargrove, and Hargrove looked at Marcus, and in the silence something shifted in the room, minus some invisible weight that had been sitting on Marcus's chest, moved sideways, and landed somewhere else entirely. "He probably already passed it off," Hargrove said, but his voice had dropped half a register. A woman spoke up from the crowd. Then a man. Then the junior events coordinator, her face flushed red. She had seen Marcus in the main hall the entire evening. She had spoken to him twice. He had never left her line of sight. Hargrove said nothing. The truth, when it moves through a room, doesn't announce itself. It just settles, quietly, like dust, after a long fall. Marcus pulled his jacket straight. He looked at Hargrove, minus really looked at him, the way you look at someone when you are choosing what to say next and you already know you won't say the worst of it. Because the worst of it was this: a man had just stood in front of 300 people and pointed a finger. And that finger had come from somewhere deep and ugly, the part of us that needs someone below us to feel secure above. "My daughter is waiting," Marcus said. "I'd like to go home." One of the guests laughed, minus not cruelly, but with the kind of helpless release that comes when tension breaks and doesn't know where to go. Someone began to clap. Marcus didn't wait to see what Hargrove did next. He walked out through the gold-lit lobby and into the cold night air and stood there for a moment, breathing. Emma was awake when he got home. She was always awake when he got home late, sitting up in bed with a book. She pretended to be reading. "How was it?" she asked. He sat on the edge of her bed the way he had every night, since her mother left minus not died. Left, which was its own kind of grief, the kind. With no clean edges, he looked at her face in the lamplight. 9 years old, and already she had learned to read the space around him, to know when to ask and when to just sit close. "It was interesting," he said. She considered this. "Did you eat anything?" He laughed. It surprised him. She made him a peanut butter sandwich at 10:30 at night, standing on her toes to reach the counter, narrating every step with the serious focus of a chef preparing something important. He sat at the kitchen table and watched her and felt, for the first time in a long while, entirely and completely placed. The story spread. The way stories do, someone at the party had filmed it. Hargrove issued a statement that felt more like arithmetic than an apology. Marcus didn't read it. What he kept instead was the sandwich, the narration, the lamp still on when he came through the door. Some things a man cannot have taken from him, no matter who does the pointing.